Polish with Ray. I'm Rachel and today I'm going to be sharing with you what I wore on my nails in August. So I wore a lot of polish in August. I don't know what got into me, but I was just really wanting to change up my manicure constantly. I really liked a lot of what I had on. I think I just felt like a little bit of pressure because summer's almost over and I had a lot of polishes still left on my summer rack that I wanted to get on my nails. So I ended up getting around to 26 different nail polishes in August, which again, what? That's more than any month this year. Not quite as many manicures though, because that did include a couple pedicures. It included a few Skittle manicures in there as well. So altogether I wore 14 different manicures. That's still pretty good for me, so I am very happy that I got around to more polishes in my collection this month, especially a lot of untrieds. So if you've not seen one of my what I wore videos before, basically I break up the video into little sections. First we're gonna look at the polishes that I wore as pedicures and I'll give you my thoughts on those. Then after that we'll look at all the polishes I wore as manicures. First the ones that I liked okay, then the ones that I really couldn't stand, and then at the end the ones that I absolutely loved. We'll take a look at swatch photos, up close bottle shots, and of course I'll give you my thoughts on everything. All right, so pedicures first. I got around to 2 pedicures in August. The first one is a classic OPI. It is Cajun shrimp. Cajun shrimp is what I would describe as being like a bright corally red cream. So I think I've worn Cajun shrimp before, but I don't think I've ever worn it as a manicure because I couldn't find swatch photos of it. But I couldn't believe I haven't worn it as a manicure because I absolutely loved it. Loved it as a pedicure. Oh my goodness. If you don't have Cajun shrimp and you feel like our tastes are similar, you totally need to get Cajun shrimp. Because it's one of those polishes that just gets talked to death, and I feel like once I hear about a polish so many times, I'm just kind of like, whatever, you know. But this one deserves all the hype. It was pretty much a one coater, perfect formula, and just really popped as a pedicure. It was a gorgeous color. Like, I remember feeling when I put this on, I could wear this all summer. I could wear it all fall and be so happy. And then the other polish I wore as a pedicure that I'm currently wearing as a pedicure now is Essie Flowerista. Flowerista is a muted kind of berry magenta cream shade. This is another one that is just talked about so often and I've heard wonderful things about. And it took me like, I don't know, half a year, maybe a year to get on my nails, and I've been missing out. This had a 1-coat formula. I did end up going in for 2 because I always do, but 2 coats weren't really necessary. The color is divine. It's saturated, it's kind of muted though, so it's like especially perfect for this transitional time going from summer into fall. And I have another YouTuber to thank for putting this on my nails. It was Variety Varnish, Sheila. She did a transitional video, like talking about shades she would wear transitioning from summer to fall. And I always feel like in these transitional months, I get in a little bit of a polish rut because I get towards the end of my summer rack and I've worn all the stuff that I'm really excited about already. And so it's like, I don't want to say like the scraps left over, but it's like a lot of stuff that I just didn't reach for earlier because I'm not in the mood for it. And so I was feeling a little stuck. I saw her recommend Essie Flowerista and realized I don't think I've worn that yet. And I've heard a lot about it, so let's try it as a pedicure. I loved it. I won't give away too much, but you're gonna see it again later in this video. Perfect polish. If you can find it, get it. It's so good. All right, and now let's move on to manicures. First, talking about the polishes that I liked okay. The first one comes from Color Club and it's called That's Rich. That's Rich is a bright but deeper berry pink holographic, linear holographic shade. Okay, so Color Club is known for their holographics. They do them so well. They're always one coaters. And despite being a beautiful pink, and y'all know I love pink, I just wasn't crazy about this one. I felt like the holographic wasn't as loud as some of the other shades that I love from them. Like, I guess, actually, maybe the only linear holographic I've tried from Color Club is Crystal Baller. That one is lights out, wildly fantastic, just so ridiculously beautiful. But I didn't feel like the linear hollow was as noticeable. It might be because the base color for this is quite a bit deeper and more saturated that it got a little lost in that pigment. But yeah, I saw beautiful rainbows when I was in the sun. But in indoor lighting, I was just, you know, I was not super excited about having this on my nails. It was fine, but I didn't love it. Another one I am putting in this middle category is what I currently have on my nails. It comes from Night Owl Lacquer, and it's called There's a Little Witch in All of Us. This one has a warm purple base with a gorgeous like shifting shimmer that shifts red to copper to gold, maybe to green at extreme angles, and silver reflective glitter. And by the way, none of the polishes I've talked about so far were even on my summer rack. Like I said, I wasn't wanting whatever was on my summer rack, so I just went through my collection and just picked random stuff, which sometimes that's hit or miss anyway. But this was something that I added to my summer rack, but I added this one pretty early on, like maybe back in June. I realized I was craving like a gorgeous purple with a sunsetty shifty shimmer. There was some kind of PPU Linby Designs offered that Pampered Polishes Timberland swatched, and she shared that one in her monthly manis, and she doesn't love purple either. And so I saw her swatches. It looked so gorgeous on her. I was wanting something in my collection that would kind of give me a similar vibe. So I reached for this one. I'd never worn it as a full manicure before. I'd only swatched it. And it's a beautiful polish. I've been so captivated by the shimmer, by the reflective glitter. I am like considering, should I put it in that love category? But I've just had like a little bit of a troublesome time with application and keeping this looking good on my nails that I'm a little fed up with it. And ready to change it already, even though I've only had it on a couple days. Yeah, so I like did my nails a few days ago, and one of my nails got really dinged super quickly, even though I felt like I gave it enough time to let it dry. Reflective glitters get thick sometimes, although this one didn't feel thick to me, and I didn't add any thinner. But anyway, sometimes they get a little bit thick and gummy, and so they don't dry down as quickly. So I removed the polish just off of that nail and went back in and fixed it, and then it happened again, but worse. I have a ton of tip wear and like a big ding out of my pointer finger, and it's just getting on my nerves. So the fact that that happened, and I have a few little dings and dents and tip wear on other nails as well, it just hasn't worn that well, and so because of that I put it in this middle category. I'm still gonna keep it. I like it. But it hasn't worn well on me for whatever reason. And then the last manicure in this middle category is a combo. I wore as a base Morgan Taylor Flying Out Loud. And Flying Out Loud is a bright chartreusey yellowy green cream shade. And I topped it after a couple days with Fancy Gloss Golden Goddess. Golden Goddess is a topper. It's got a clear base and then a gorgeous gold to green shifting shimmer. So I wore Morgan Taylor Flying Out Loud. This one was on my summer rack, by the way. I wore this one for a day or two and loved the cream on its own. I thought it was really beautiful. Again, I kind of messed up the application. I think I put on a top coat that had like some leftover red on it, and so on my pointer finger I had a little like red line, and it was just driving me crazy. With creams, if they don't look perfect when they're applied, they just look like messy to me, and it drives me bananas. So I kind of wanted to cover up that red line, even though I loved Flying Out Loud by itself, which also, side note, great formula. It was almost a one coater and a really unique pretty shade. It felt pruggly but summery, and I loved the shade on its own. But I tried to cover up that red line with the Fancy Gloss Golden Goddess, and as soon as I put it on, I was not really liking it. Like, it kind of reminded me of Zoya Eunice, which Mediocre Manis has talked about before. She loves it, but it sounds like something I would hate. And so as soon as I put the topper on, I was like, oh no, does this look like Zoya Eunice? Ugh. And so I just wasn't crazy about it with the topper. I should have left it alone, or I should have just, you know, removed and reapplied that one nail and left Flying Out Loud on its own. I do think I really like this topper. I just liked it better without. Oh my goodness, y'all. I'm talking so much. This is gonna be a really long video. Now we're on to manicures that I did not like. So there were two this month, and I was kind of surprised about both of them. Both were on my summer rack. The first one was one from Girly Bits, and it's called I Don't Think You're Ready for This Jelly. This one is a bright, almost neon purple jelly base, and it's got iridescent flakes in almost every color. Pink, purple, gold, green, blue as well. Okay, so I knew this was a jelly. I knew it was sheer. I should have paired a blurring base coat with it or some kind of base. Because with some shades, it does not bother me if I see visible nail line, like nudes, like pinks, like sheer whites. But for vibrant colors, for some reason, I do not like seeing my nail line. I just don't think it looks good on me. So when I built this up in 3 coats, it had really beautiful even coverage. The flakies were nice. But I just didn't like seeing my nail line, and also I wasn't crazy about this shade of purple on me. I'm just not a big purple person in general, and yeah, whenever I had this on, I was ready to take it off pretty much immediately, which was so sad because I remember it was a PBE exclusive, not this year, but last year, and I remember being so devastated that I was gonna miss out on this polish. I placed my only order on the Girly Bits site pretty much to get this polish and the Caitlin Swatches collab. But this is what I knew I was gonna buy first before the Caitlin Swatches collab was announced, and so I'm kind of let down. And then the other one that I just did not like was KB Shimmer That's Ranunculus. This one is a reflective glitter bomb, and it's got some orangey, goldish reflective glitter, an orange base, and then some reddish, red to copper to gold. Interesting, shifting shimmer. Okay, so this is in this bottom category because of the color. I'm not a big orange person. It takes a lot for me to really love an orange polish. And if I'm gonna love an orange polish, I need it usually to be a brighter shade of orange. I don't like brownie oranges that much. The male's here, sorry. I don't like brownie oranges that much. I don't like these kind of like muted oranges, even pumpkin oranges. Sometimes I don't like. So this one, I totally called it. Before I put it on, I said, I don't think I'm gonna like that orange on me. And I was right, I didn't like it. But what I did realize was I do like this new improved KB Shimmer Reflective Glitter formula, because I got this last spring. It's been about a year now, a little over a year. And it's not gotten gunky, it's not gotten thick at all. Application was beautiful, and it was so sparkly, and I love the shimmer in there too. So I wanted to buy more shifty shimmer reflective glitters from KB Shimmer, but I don't think they really have that many. I saw lots of reflective glitter bombs, a few of which I didn't have, but none with shifting shimmer. So if you know of any, or you have one that you like, let me know down in the comments, because I want to buy more, but just not in this color. All right, and finally on to manicures that I absolutely loved. The first one is another classic. This is China Glaze Riveting. Riveting is a bright, almost pumpkin orange. So I take back what I said before, with a dazzling large particle gold shimmer. Okay, so I'm just so grateful this polish came into my life. I got it via a D-stash. Thank you. You know who you are. I really appreciate you parting with this polish. I loved it. It was so beautiful. The way that the gold shined in that orange base, and the shade of orange. I'm like a little bit messing up my words here because it was just so pretty. But the shade of orange was just so perfectly flattering. It was bright. The gold really popped in the base. It was a 3-coater for me, but I got great coverage in 3 coats. I completely loved this manicure. I will say, when I had it on, it reminded me of a KB Shimmer that released last year, I think, called Patch Things Up. But the difference with that one is it has finer shimmer, and also it shifts from copper to gold to green, I think. This one doesn't shift, but it doesn't need a shift. It's so stinking pretty. So yeah, absolutely love this. We'll cherish it always. So beautiful. Another one I wore and absolutely loved comes from Emily Damali, and it's called Noxious. Noxious has a darker grass green base with these beautiful iridescent flakes that shift copper to gold to green to blue at extreme angles, and there's some pink in there too. Oh my goodness. I got this like knowing I would like it, but I loved it. And I remember almost skipping out on PPU that month. I'm so glad I didn't and that I got this. It's just fabulous. The way that the flakies like were suspended in the curly base, like you really got a beautiful pond effect. The flakies were gigantic, and I love the contrast between that like darker green base and the pink flakes when they were in their like pink shift. so gorgeous. It actually reminded me of one I wore, I think last August from Painted Polish, called Gilded Clover. Just because of the base color, I'm like coming to realize this is a shade of green I really enjoy, because actually it also reminds me a little bit of Stella Chroma Corporate Magazine Still Suck. This like dark, kind of almost chartreusey, grassy green, I think just looks so good on me, but also is so nice for this time of year, like transitioning from summer into fall. Another one I just loved is Cuticula's Naydra's Scales. This one has a dark like teal base and then strong shimmer that shifts blue to green to purple and holographic flakes. So this is one of those polishes that is just a chameleon. Sometimes the base color looks more like navy, sometimes it looks more teal, and then sometimes if you're in like bright lighting, the shimmer just takes over and it looks aqua or it looks purple. It was so beautiful. I did feel like when I had this on my nails, I thought to myself, like, I feel like I have other things like it. Like, it kind of reminded me of KB Shimmer Put a Ring on It or KB Shimmer Better Late Than Never. But although those are really beautiful, this one had a purple shift that the other two did not. I also felt like this one had a deeper base color, so I'm gonna keep all of them. And it was a 2-coater. The Emily DeMolly also was a 2-coater. I was really appreciating that this month. And kind of a similar color. It's interesting, I wore mostly like warm tones in August, but I did throw in like a few blues and teals just to change it up a little bit. But I also wore Bee's Knees Lacquer. There's a Little Monster in All of Us. This one is a Line with a Thorn in Its Paw cousin, and it has a teal base with shimmer that shifts green to blue to aqua, and it's packed with holographic flakes. So this one was incredibly sparkly. I love all the Lion siblings, and cousins, but I think my favorite are the ones with the deeper bases because the holographic flakes just pop so well. Like in the sunlight, you just got so much sparkle. It looked like diamonds on your nails. Yeah, this one was so gorgeous, and it just makes me want to wear the Lion cousins all the time. They're all so beautiful. I feel like I've heard more and more people lately saying they don't get the hype about the Lion cousins, and I feel so let down. I feel so unheard and alone with my love for this finish. It never lets me down. I love every single one. I will say I do like the more opaque ones though, and this one was more opaque, so yay. I wore another Cuticula this month. This one was Never Sleep Again. Never Sleep Again has like a red base. On the first coat, it looks kind of pinky, so I want to call it a pinky red, but when it's built up in 3 coats, it feels like pretty much a primary red, maybe like a slight pink lean. Has black flakies and then some holographic as well. So this one was inspired. I was very inspired, I guess, by the content creators that I watch. I was inspired to wear this one because of Jennifer Defoe. Jennifer loves Cuticula, and her passion for the brand always makes me want to wear more Cuticulas. And I feel like I've watched a lot of her channel in August. So I saw she wore and loved Never Sleep Again, so I decided to wear it, and I loved it too. Cuticula polishes are just so unique. Like, I feel like when I see people swatch them and they're not showing the bottle, 9 times out of 10, I can guess they're a Cuticula polish because they just have a very distinctive look to them. Like the crushed flakies, the super shifty shimmer, the hollow, it's all very refined and compact looking and cohesive. I don't know how to describe it. But anyway, this was a beautiful polish. It did take 3 coats to build up to full opacity, but I thought the base color was a gorgeous shade of red on me. I love the hollow sparkle in the sun, and the black flakes made it feel like a little bit edgy, which I really enjoyed. Another one I absolutely loved, to no one's surprise, is Rogue Lacquer 25 and older. This one has a neon cool pink base, and it is packed with these beautiful like glass-like flakies. They are blue and they might shift to purple. Okay, so first of all, on the first coat, I was like ready to destash this. I don't know if it was just my bottle. I hope so. If you have this polish, please let me know. But my bottle of this was so gooey and thick, and I added thinner and it was still thick, and I added more thinner and it was still thick. And I like applied it, and the flakes were just everywhere. They were like, you know, usually you can just pat them down if they go above the tip of your nail. I was patting it down and it just wouldn't stop. It wouldn't lay flat. It was super textured and it was gunky, and I was just like, oh no. Because I've been pining after this polish since it released. It was a Lacquer to Lashes birthday polish in 2023. So I didn't buy it when it released, and I regretted it, and then I regretted it again, and then it was at PBE and I was so elated. And then I was really sad when I put it on and the formula was so difficult. However, it was absolutely worth the 3 coats. This is one of the brightest pink polishes in my collection, and it had a great opacity. It was on the creamier side, and it has a lot of flakes. I have a feeling that's why it was so thick. But it was beautiful. I did build it up in 3 coats. I think I might be okay with 2 at some point with this one. But it was just so loud and bright, and the flakies were so glowy. So happy to say this one's in the love category despite not being sure about it at first. I'm sure about it now. And it is a beautiful, beautiful shade. I wore a magnetic in August. I know. And it was EDK, which is Phoenix now, and it's called America Yes. This one has a dark blue base. I know, who am I? Dark blue base and like this multi-chrome shifting shimmer that shifts like a cobalt blue to purple to pink, and then all of these multi-chrome fiery looking flakes in there too. Okay, so who's surprised I wore a magnetic? I am. I never wear magnetics, but seriously, y'all, that 30-pound magnet is changing my life. Like I loaded my fall rack with magnetic polishes because I'm not afraid of them anymore. They're still a little time consuming, but like before with the cat eye magnet, I was just dinging my nail constantly, and it was very rare that I would have a beautiful manicure with a magnetic polish because I just don't have the patience to sit there and like focus on not hitting my nail with a magnet. So I decided to put on a magnetic polish. I'm very glad I did. This was a beautiful shade. I do think I would have liked it more in fall or winter because it was a little bit dark for August, even maybe September. I think it was a little bit dark for August, but it's one of those polishes it just didn't matter because it's so beautiful. Like seeing my nail shift from that dark blue base to the like more aqua-y blue magnetic line. Oh my goodness, like my heart stopped. I was like sitting there, you know, just always watching the shift, and it was beautiful. So one of those polishes doesn't really matter what season it fits into. It's just such a gorgeous shade. And now I can't wait to wear more magnetics. Okay, 3 more manicures. The next one is Essie Flowerista. So again, Flowerista has a muted pinky purple cream base. So I wore it as a pedicure first and was just blown away by the formula, blown away by how much I adored the color, that I decided to go ahead and put it on as a manicure, and I was beyond glad that I did. I couldn't get enough of this color on my nails, clearly. And I don't know the last time that I wore a matching mani-pedi. I think it's been like since college, so it's been like, you know, it's been a long time. But this was the color to do it with. It's just so perfect for this transitional time. It was incredibly flattering, and I don't feel like, unfortunately, my photos really do it justice. This color definitely has a lot of purple in it, but my photos came out looking kind of pink. I think it's because I was in sunlight, and sometimes those purpley pinks just seem to like glow in sunlight, which is gorgeous, but it definitely has a different look indoors than it did out in the sun, and I wish I would have gotten a variety of photos to kind of display that. That being said, Essie Flowerista is really hard to find, unfortunately. I think I looked for it. I found it a little bit. I found a few listings for it on Mercari, and then I also found, I think, the gel version on maybe like Head to Toe Beauty. But yeah, it was really hard to find. If you like it, something kind of similar but pinker leaning is Essie Big Spender, which was one of my favorite polishes. One of my favorite polishes of all time for a long time. And I almost wore that one and decided to wear this one instead, and I'm so glad I did. I love Big Spender, but the formula on Flowerista, It's awesome. And the last 2 manicures I wore were both Skittles. So the first one used 5 different polishes. I was going for like a sunsetty look. I was inspired by someone that I follow on Instagram called Christine Nails. She posted a sunsetty Skittle manicure and incorporated some more shades of purple than mine does, but we know I don't always love purple. So I decided to add some different shades to mine. So the shades I wore were on my thumb. I wore Wildflower Lacquer, You're Simply the Best, which is a darker, more magenta pink with a shift to copper, gold, and green. On my pointer finger, I wore Penelope Luz Nritya, and this is a bright, more hot pink shade with shimmer that shifts copper to gold to green. On my middle finger, I wore Bluebird Lacquer, The Rat Hole, which is a gorgeous saturated primary red jelly with large particle shimmer that shifts red to copper to gold. On my ring finger, I wore Dany Vianna Ibis Scarlat, which is a bright, almost neon orange with shimmer that shifts copper to gold to green. And then on my pinky, I wore Bee's Knees Lacquer Shades, which has unicorn pigment that looks gold and green and blue sometimes. So usually when I wear a Skittle manicure, it'll only incorporate like 2 or 3 polishes, but I really love that sunset look. Just the appearance of the kind of gradient, the warm gradient, just was so, so pretty. And I had a great time going through my collection and trying to put polishes together and trading them out and saying, oh, I think I like how this looks with that. Oh, I don't like that one. Actually, let's try this one instead. And it just made me feel really creative and artistic to put them together. I thought the finished look was beautiful. I really liked how not only did the polishes kind of form a gradient, but I loved how the shimmers kind of matched within the polish as well. They're not the same finish, but they looked like they could have been like, you know, almost from the same collection where they all had that same like copper to gold to green shimmer. I'll say if I went back and changed anything, I would change the Bee's Knees Lacquer shades. Although I love it, it didn't feel quite as cohesive as the others. Like these look very cohesive and this one just looks kind of random a little bit. If I could change anything, I would have made the 5th polish in the Skittle be like more of like a corally, orangey kind of shade. But I don't think I have anything like that. That's not really my favorite kind of color. So it worked. I loved it. It was beautiful and it was a nice way to get to rewear some polishes that I hadn't worn in a long time. I was especially in love with the Bluebird Lacquer Red. I got that one from PBE. I almost wore it. I almost wore it as a full manicure. Immediately followed this one. That's how much I loved it. But I think after this video, I'm going to put it in my holiday rack, which I've already started. I just love putting racks together. I think it's really fun. But I think it's gonna go on my holiday rack for around December because it's just a gorgeous shade of red and I think they can be worn pretty much all year. And like I said, I feel like I wore more warm tones in August than I usually do. Although I love the reds and the oranges and the yellows, usually most months in the summer I wear a lot of blues and pinks. Some other colors sprinkled in there too, but this month felt super warm for me, so I was just kind of craving something a little bit cooler. So I wore another Skittle immediately following that sunsetty Skittle, and this time it was filled with cooler tones. Again, I wore 5 different colors kind of in a gradient. They were all creams this time though, and then I topped them. So on my thumb, I wore Essie Revenge is a Beach, which is a muted teal cream. On my pointer finger, I wore Static Nails Cabana Boy, which is a cornflower blue cream. On my middle finger, I wore Ave Polish EZ, which is a very cool toned, muted, grapey purple cream. On my ring finger, I wore Essie Playdate, which is a warm lavender purple cream. And then on my pinky, I wore Orally Check Yes or No, which is a pinky kind of orchid cream. And then I topped all of my nails with Sassy Sauce's Tink's Wings, which is a topper with a clear base, beautiful glowing ghost flakes that are blue and green, and then rose gold reflective glitter. So this manicure made me feel like a fairy. I felt like a fairy princess. It was very ethereal. It felt glamorous and beautiful, and I got a lot of compliments on it. Again, I just felt like such an artist. Putting together these colors and, you know, going through my collection and changing them out and just really trying to find my perfect cool toned gradient. I thought they looked absolutely fabulous together, and I wouldn't have changed a thing about these 5 colors together. They were amazing. So once I had these 5 picked out, I knew I wanted to add a topper, and I was gonna add a gold flaky topper with a matte top coat. And I do still think that would have been really, really beautiful, and part of me wishes I would have done that because I haven't worn a matte manicure all year. Maybe has been 2 or 3 years since I've worn a mattified manicure. I just don't do it. But I really, really, really wanted to get around to Tinks Wings this season because it's just such a beautiful topper, and it's just been calling to me from my rack. So I did top this on top. Part of me at first regretted it a little bit just because those ghost flakies can appear kind of yellowy over certain colors, and where all of these are light, sometimes I did get like a little flash of yellow, and it just reminds me of buttered popcorn. I don't like it. But most of the time I could not see the yellow. I just got to see the blue and green glow. The shimmer, there's shimmer in here too, that's tonal. And then the reflective glitter was so pretty and sparkly. Like I said, I got a ton of compliments on this manicure. All 5 of these creams were absolutely incredible to work with. The teal was pretty much a 1-coater. Static Nails Cabana Boy I've worn before and love. It just has a really squishy formula. Ave EZ took a few coats, but it was beautiful. And then same for Essie and Orally. They just had a crelly feel to them that built up wonderfully. So this manicure, I have a feeling, will end up in my favorites of the year. I didn't want to take it off. Okay, that was a really, really long video, but I had a lot to say. Let me know down in the comments which of these manicures stood out to you. Did you love them? Do you have any of these polishes and love them or not love them? Yeah, I want to hear all your thoughts down in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!